The hot topics of the moment in business are crypto, the metaverse, blockchain, and Web 3.0. These are all relatively new concepts that are being talked about in the mainstream. And if you're starting a new business, it's important that it's sustainable in the face of these new technological changes that are on the horizon. Just like with the development of Web 2.0, the companies and industries that are able to take advantage of these new changes are the ones that have the most potential to grow in the next 10 years. With that being said, in this video, we're going to talk about some of the most profitable business ideas and jobs that you can have within the next 10 years. But first, we have to actually understand what Web 3.0 is. Currently, you're using Web 2.0. Unless you were an early adopter of the internet, Web 2.0 is likely the only version of the internet you're familiar with. So let's take it back one more notch. Web 1.0 was when the internet was made up of static pages that you would navigate to via a URL. If you weren't around for the early years of the internet, you can go to berkshirehathaway.com to experience what Web 1.0 probably felt like. Moving on, Web 2.0 encapsulates websites that allow user-generated content or user participation. Early versions of these include websites like MySpace or Yahoo Answers, and current examples include pretty much any website you're using on the internet today. Now, Web 3.0 is described as the upcoming third generation of the internet, where websites and apps will be able to process information in a smart, human-like way through technologies like machine learning, big data, and decentralized ledger technology, or DLT. Blockchain is one of the most well-known examples of DLT and is the basis for cryptocurrencies. If there's one aspect of Web 3.0 that gets entrepreneurs excited, it's the possibility of eliminating the middlemen. Whether or not this is actually realistic is debatable. Sure, companies can currently accept cryptocurrencies without delays and fees associated with using banks or credit cards. However, most major companies don't actually accept crypto. And with the exception of a few trendy spots, small businesses are even less likely to currently accept it. If we are going to transition into a world where cryptocurrency and Web 3.0 are the standards, both companies and individuals are going to need to be comfortable and familiar with cryptocurrency. You might have heard the story of the guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoins at a local pizza shop in 2010. Those 10,000 Bitcoins were only worth $40 back then. Obviously, the local pizzeria had no way to accept the Bitcoin payment, so the man reached out to the Bitcoin Talk community and traded his Bitcoins with anyone who would buy him these pizzas. As of May 22nd, 2021, that same amount in Bitcoin would be worth $3.8 billion. Despite crypto's increasing popularity, most commercial companies still do not accept cryptocurrency as payment. If you wanted to buy a McDonald's Happy Meal with crypto, you would first have to sell off a portion of your crypto and use the dollars from that sale to buy the food. However, Web 3.0 might be the moment when cryptocurrency moves to the main stage in a very big way. Looking into the early development of Web 3.0, we're seeing that a lot of projects are using cryptocurrencies as a basis for financial exchanges. If you're going to be a part of this transition to Web 3.0, it's pretty likely that you are going to need to be comfortable and familiar with crypto in order to be involved. And you'll likely also need to own crypto yourself to be able to fully participate. This next portion of the video is sponsored by SoFi. If you're into crypto, or even if you're just still learning, you should check out SoFi, the finance super app where you can invest in stocks, fractional shares, ETFs, and crypto too. And investing is just the beginning. You can also refinance loans, consolidate debt, and track your money. Plus, SoFi just launched a checking and savings account that has one of the highest interest rates with no account fees. SoFi also makes accessing crypto super simple. You can automatically invest a percentage of your paychecks in up to 30 different cryptocurrencies without purchase fees, and if that isn't easy enough, SoFi has a credit card that lets you cash in 2% of eligible purchases into rewards points that can be redeemed for crypto. If you haven't gotten into crypto yet, maybe because your old school financial institution doesn't offer it, definitely do check out SoFi. They do bank banking, investing, and crypto too, all in one app. So head to the link in the description to download the SoFi app, start trading crypto, and SoFi will hook you up with up to $100 in Bitcoin. Thanks again to SoFi for sponsoring this portion of the video, and let's get back to it. This first category for businesses and jobs for the next 10 years is going to be creating digital products. Yes, you can create digital products on Web 2.0, and it is one of the business ideas that we've mentioned many times before. But with Web 3.0, the potential wealth that you can create from creating digital products hits a new level. With the development of VR, we're seeing people investing in digital wardrobes, avatars, and even digital real estate. In Silicon Valley, people are already taking meetings in a virtual workplace with their VR glasses. They of course want to decorate this virtual space and make it impressive, comfortable, and attractive. So just as there is a market for artists, furniture makers, and interior decorators in the physical world, the same thing is likely going to exist in the virtual world as well. In order to make this VR world a reality, companies are going to need to hire an incredible amount of VR developers. You could work in something like being a 3D artist, and even within that, there are opportunities to specialize. Maybe you'll just make shoes or clothing items for avatars, or maybe you'll be the person building the environments or the furniture. And at some point, popular brands that we already know are likely going to want to get involved in this virtual world as well. Imagine doing 3D modeling for H&M's new spring collection, or building a table for West Elm's VR office line. The great thing about getting into this kind of work now is that the skills that you'll be building by creating things in VR will definitely carry over to other areas as well, and will probably be pretty foundational as far as all aspects of creating in this potential online world. Think about people who started building websites in the early 2000s. If they kept building their skills and expanding their business, the earnings potential for that person in 2022 has skyrocketed from where they probably started off when Web 2.0 was just starting. So it'll be the same thing getting into VR design now, whether you're on the development side or more on the artistic side. All right, so our second broad category is investing in creators. So remember when you would find a band or a creator or an artist before everyone else, and you would brag to your friends that you found them before they were cool? Well, now with blockchain, you can actually have concrete proof of this, and you can also gain some financial benefits from this as well. So let's take a musician, for example. Traditionally, a musician would have to go through a label to get the upfront capital needed to record and create their music, along with the capital needed for promotion and distribution. Already, we see that Web 2.0 has eliminated or at least shifted the need for super large promotional budgets. Between social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, plenty of musicians are able to connect directly with an audience and promote their own music completely for free. Still, musicians need money to create professional tracks or music videos. But now, instead of going through a label, which would likely take a very large cut of sales, a lot of musicians are turning to NFTs. Some are selling individual songs, entire albums, concert tickets, or mixed packages of all of the above. By releasing these as NFTs, this means that early adopters of the music could not only support the artist, but also potentially make a return on their initial investment, should they ever choose to resell that NFT in the future. Of course, there are still kinks to be worked out with how this would work exactly. After all, for the NFT music to increase substantially in value over time, there would likely need to be limited access to the song. After all, why would you pay $100 for an NFT when you could stream the exact same song on your Spotify account for free? In order for the resale of the tracks to make sense, there would also have to be a limited number of them. Still, it's an interesting idea to explore, and there's definitely a lot of potential money to be made, especially right now while excitement is still high around NFTs. So how do you get involved in this? If you're a creator selling your creations as NFTs, whether that is songs, music, art or videos. Doing that could potentially result in more revenue than trying to distribute it the traditional way. If you aren't a creator and you aren't looking to have a public-facing brand, you could always create a company that actually helps creators do this. The average musician or video creator likely isn't going to have the know-how to set all of this up on their own and run it. So you could potentially create different business opportunities by actually helping them get started or helping them manage that. And our third overarching category of advice is to specialize in jobs that will become high demand. You really don't have to reinvent the wheel to take advantage of this changing technological landscape. With all of the talk about blockchain and the metaverse and Web 3.0, a lot of people do forget that we are going to need more traditional jobs that are just geared more towards this Web 3.0 environment. This is going to be the Wild West for a minute while regulations are being figured out, and there are going to be a ton of legal questions and disputes that arise from this new changing environment. If you're going into law or trying to become a lawyer, specializing in these areas could allow you to help shape what law looks like for the metaverse or this Web 3.0 environment. Virtual reality has really barely emerged, but we're already seeing people investing millions into this virtual world in the form of digital real estate and clothing. The virtual world is going to have all of the legal issues that the internet plus the physical world has and more. By specializing in law for VR or blockchain or Web 3.0, you can make sure that you are on top of this emerging area. So next, part of the appeal of blockchain is the amount of security it provides. However, if we transition into a world that is heavily based on VR, or we continue to see an increasing number of transactions happen over Web 3.0, cybersecurity engineers are going to be in very, very high demand. So whether that is a job that you have independently or a business that you start, cybersecurity is already one of the highest paying areas, and that definitely isn't going to slow down as things transition into Web 3.0. Another traditional career that will definitely need to help tackle this transition into Web 3.0 would be psychologists and researchers. For decades, psychologists have already been questioning the effects that video games have on the people who play them the most. However, with VR, the potential effects on the human psyche can be taken to a whole new level. After all, even if you know on an intellectual level that a game that you're playing is just a game, will your brain be able to differentiate the experiences that you're having in a virtual versus a physical scenario? On another side, what's going to happen to people who make wise investments in crypto or just get lucky with crypto and wake up one day as a millionaire? How will they approach their newfound wealth? How will it affect them? And will these things start to be gamified? All of these questions and more are going to need to be explored on a further level, which is why psychology and research are going to be good areas to go into in the next 10 years. As Web 3.0 and blockchain expand into our lives, schools will need to develop educational programs for their students. Staff in companies across the world will need to be trained on these things as well, and that's another opportunity for a business. Because early adopters are usually these Silicon Valley types who are very up to date on what's happening and new innovations, it's easy to lose sight of the way that normal people will need to be integrated into this new world. That integration is an entire industry in itself. When it comes to how these new technologies will change our world, this is only the beginning. Though people worry about Web 3.0 potentially having a crash like the Web 2.0.com bubble, the reality is any companies that survive a first initial crash will likely become the industry leaders in this new world. Just look at Amazon as a prime example of that. No one knew that a small little bookstore online would turn into this massive corporation. And by trying any of these, even if you start a business, start a job, or even make an investment that fails, you are still going to be ahead of the game in understanding this new digital environment compared to those who sat around and chose not to learn and not to engage in these new opportunities. Leave a comment below letting me know what you think the biggest jobs and industries are going to be in the next 10 years, and I will see you guys in the next video.